So welcome everybody to this free event. I'm still letting people in, so you'll see me look over there as people keep joining. We still haven't worked out how to just let everybody in, how it used to be with Zoom, but for some reason it puts everyone into a waiting room, which is a lovely segue. You'll hear in a moment to what I'm going to be talking about. So let me just let one more person in and I'm going to start. Okay, there we go. So many people signed up to this event. Some people will be just listening to the replay because it's a different time in their world and it's the middle of the night for them. But I do appreciate everybody that signed up, everybody that has chosen to be here at this time. And, you know, the first thing that I really want to say is I'm honoured to be, hi Liam, I'm honoured to be in this position where I can talk to you about this subject, which is the fear of death or the fear of dying. And I appreciate that there are many of you that have either experienced somebody in your family, whether it's recently or whether it's a long time ago, it really doesn't matter. We've all experienced somebody leaving our lives, and definitely I have. And that was my spiritual awakening, which I'll talk a little bit about in a moment. But essentially, I just want to say to you that once again, I feel honoured. You know, I have been a medium for nearly 30 years, certainly something that I didn't think I signed up for, being a psychologist and a psychotherapist, which was my plan of my life, working as a psychologist and a psychotherapist in child protection as a trauma specialist. So I spent many, many years working in child protection and working with the serious cases of trauma. So child abuse, drugs and alcohol, addiction, you name it. And I worked with the perpetrators as well as the ones that had experienced it. And so there's not really too much I haven't seen or experienced. And I also work with veterans with post-traumatic stress, some of them at the point where they really don't want to be here. And so mental health for me is what I do. I work with trauma, but I feel very blessed that alongside being a specialist in trauma, my guides have been with me for a very long time. And so I have a really beautiful relationship with my guides. And so I trust them implicitly. And they guide me every day to the incredible opportunities that have come into my life since I had this deep relationship. And I think what's the key thing about understanding that you're never on your own and that you have your guidance with you is just that feeling that you're not doing it on your own. But what I really want to talk about today is, so you've got the blurb and the background of who I am. You know, I spent a lot of time in London working on the platforms, giving evidence of survival to others. And as I said, it definitely wasn't something that I felt I signed up for. But of course, you know, the universe has a way of putting us in the right place at the right time and standing us with the right people at the right time. And as time has gone on, I've realized that every single person that has come into my life and left my life has been there for an incredible reason. And one of the most pivotal experiences is when I had a friend who took their life. And I was very young. I think I was 26. Coming around my Saturn return. I'm also an intuitive astrologer, so I really love astrology, hence the moon events that we do. So anyway, around that time, 26, 27, I lost a very dear friend of mine who actually previously was a boyfriend, and his name was Martin. I expect he's around now, Martin, and he was very young, and he took his life. And he was the other side of the world because he was from New Zealand and I was in the UK and I'm from the UK. And he came to me one night, all those years ago. I'm 51 now, so it was a while ago now. And this was my spiritual awakening, because being a psychologist, I'd never kind of really thought about, I always wanted evidence, and I wanted to kind of know that things were scientific, hence being a spiritual scientist. Really, I want the evidence of what spirit is as well. And so he was my evidence. And even that was, if you go over to episode 1 of my podcast, The Spiritual Awakener, which you can find across all platforms, The Spiritual Awakener, if you go to episode 1, you can hear the whole story of how I awakened from that experience. But essentially what it taught me all those years ago was that there was something more than the brain and the body, that there was an aspect of us that lived on and that could communicate with us. And so it was a long time after that, after me resisting for months and months and months, and maybe even years, that finally I found the College of Psychic Studies. And this is a shortened version, let me tell you. And so I wanted to evidence the fact that I started to realize that there was so much more to us and that life went on. And so I did lots of courses and I met some amazing teachers, and I feel very blessed to have had that experience. And I really couldn't believe it when one of the teachers said to me, "What can you see?" And I said, "Nothing, I can't see anything." And she said, "No, what can you see?" And her name was Angela, and she put her hand behind me and she said, "What can you see?" And I said, "Well, I can see this person, I can see this room, I can." And she said, "That's exactly right. That is my grandfather from previous times, and that's the house that we were brought up in, and we used to spend the time there." Well, that for me was shocking evidence that I knew nothing about this person that was sitting in front of me. And that for me, as a psychologist with needing evidence, was a really good way of the spirit world showing me, because I physically saw it in what we call clairvoyance, and I heard and I experienced it. But it was still many years later that I actually decided, well, this was true. And so that is where I came from that perspective. And now I sit here today, and I spend every day pretty much of my life helping people release their trauma, live incredible lives, and really align to their mission by working with my spirit team, and also giving evidence of survival if that is what is needed in that moment in time. So one of the ways that this happens is that when somebody comes to me with a physical dis-ease, then I know that the soul aspect of us, that inner knowing part of us, actually is trying to get a message to us about who we are, about where we are on our journey, and perhaps that we need to listen to the part of us that is pure, seamless, unconditional love, which is our true soul's mission. Okay, so we come into this time, and let's just talk about this time for now. We came into this experience now at this time of great awakening. Okay, so as we come into this experience as great awakening, our souls knew that it was really important that we were here. Some of the souls have chosen to experience a small amount of time here and then leave this earth plane. And one of the reasons for that is because we are raising our consciousness and our awakening and our vibration to such a level now that we are really understanding who we are. And some souls have chosen at this time and previous times, and will continue to choose, that they have done what they need to do. And if we think about all of the things that have happened in the world, like 9/11, here's Zoe, let's invite Zoe in, 9/11, 7/7, all these different things that have happened in the world. And now we're going through something that is called COVID-19, okay? And so we are going through these situations where we are having to really look at who we are. And more than ever, now we are having to look at who we are. And part of that knowing and part of that understanding is that this physical jacket, so this jacket that we have, which is our physical being, is literally that, okay? So if we were to strip away this jacket, then what we would find underneath is just this incredible light that has no limits, is completely limitless, knows exactly why they're here, knows exactly what it is to feel love, because we are just pure love, knows exactly how to respond to what is happening in this experience we're having now in this world. But of course, what we do is we go and put our jacket back on. And so we put this human expression back on, which is the sum of the parts of mostly this lifetime. Let's just talk about, our experience now in this lifetime, but also perhaps other aspects of us that we've brought in to heal in this lifetime. And so, we might not get into that as a conversation today, but if we can look at us as children in our childhood, then what we perhaps watch on the news, what we fear in the sense of somebody leaving us or us dying or somebody dying around us, then what we fear is really triggered from not today, but from other times that we have felt that feeling of the fear of separation. All right, so just think about that just for a second. This fear of separation is something as a human we feel is real. But as a soul, we know that there is no fear of separation because we are all connected and we are all one, okay? And that, I know that sometimes that's hard to fathom and that's hard to think about, but it has been evidenced through quantum science. We are a quantum field of light. We are part of the unified field of light that I write in my book, soon to be out, hopefully, Awaken the Light Within. And so, we, through that, my guides channeled that we are part of this unified field of light, which actually has been evidenced through scientists that look at the quantum field. So we could look at that side of things, atoms, etc. But we can also look at the other side, which is we are here for a really important reason. And if you're here today, some of you are part of my membership and part of my soul family, but if you're here today and you felt drawn to be here, to experience healing, to hear these words, then there must be a reason that you have been drawn, okay? And maybe somebody shared this event with you. Maybe you just heard about it. Maybe the universe lined up as you looked on Facebook and you saw it flash up. That's what happens, right? So we get guided to where we need to be with who we need to be with at the time that is perfect for us, okay? So when we're thinking about that, it's still, as a human, I totally get this. I am one, although some people might say I'm not, but I definitely am having a human experience this time. I'm a mother with 2 children, definitely having a human experience being a mother trying to homeschool at the moment with no schools open. So I know how it feels but I honor the fact that I am a soul having a human experience, and I am so blessed that every day I connect with that. Okay. But if you are in fear, and this is what we are really looking at today, we've got lots of time, and I really want to look at helping you release this fear. Essentially, it's the fear of survival. Okay. And when we see something on the news, or we hear something from an advert on a radio show, or when we hear it from our neighbor, or we see death around us, then that's when we get triggered with this fear of survival. Okay, so what I really want, and what my intention is for you today, is for you to go away feeling, definitely having knowledge, but feeling that sense of peace within your heart. And even if it's just a tiny seed that's sown, that allows you to think, well, maybe there's something in it, or maybe there is a part of me that knows deep down inside that I am connected and that I'm always looked after, then that's my job done. Okay. And, it's my mission, I feel, that I came to this earth to help you align to your mission of why you're here. And part of your mission is to remember who you are. Okay. And that is the first point. And the second is that your body is a barometer, and that your body is messenger for your soul. Okay. So when your body is showing a message, and I'm happy to answer any questions a bit later on, we're going to leave the last half an hour for people to ask me questions about that, or about anything actually. If your body is showing a message, then your body is trying to talk to you, okay, and trying to show you where you are out of alignment with your mission, or where you're out of alignment with unconditional love of yourself. All right. And there's other aspects running as well, which we can definitely talk about if you would like to know. I trained in Meta Health, which is looking at the essentially neuropsychology. So looking at the aspect of the brain relay, we have many brain relays in our brain, and how that reflects into the physical body, i.e. the cortex part of the brain is related to skin, which is related to separation, or the fear of separation. Okay, so we might see at this time quite a few people with skin aspects coming up, and that is because the body is trying to heal the fear of separation. All right. Okay. But you can ask me anything about that afterwards. Okay. So I think we can, it's 3:15. Yeah, I think everyone's here that can be here. So is everyone okay if I start by just taking you through, what time's it finish? It's approximately 2 hours, so it's 3 to 5. So yeah, so it's 3:15 now, so we've got a while. But feel free, the housekeeping side of it is, feel free to leave whenever you want to leave. If I'm in the meditation and the healing, I may not see you pop up to be let back into the room, but if I do, I'll let you back into the room. But feel free to keep your video on, turn your video off. It's your choice completely. This is a free event, so I will be sharing it later on. But yeah, Linnell says the sun will rise with us, which is great, wherever you are in the world. We haven't got a lot of sun today here in the UK. Okay, so Hannah, it finishes about 5 o'clock, but feel free to leave if you need to leave beforehand. Okay, so has anybody got a quick question before we go into the meditation? Okay, and I'll do a statement of clearing beforehand as well. Has anyone got any questions? Because I can have a look on the screen here. Is anyone? Let's just have a quick look. Just see. And also, oh, hi, Sarah. Is Mirabelle there? If anybody has not experienced my work before, Then we do guided visualization meditation always to start with. I do clearing statements, which prepares the energy so that we are coming from a place of pure clarity and unconditional love. And quite often the guides will come in, and sometimes with sound, sometimes with light language, sometimes with inner child healing. I just get guided because I trust them so intimately that I get guided with what we're going to do. And I feel like we will be doing some inner child work because I sense Mother Mary coming in here. So I feel we will be doing some inner child work, because it's really kind of my belief that those aspects of us in childhood are showing up really deeply now in the world, and all of those parts of us that perhaps we didn't feel held by, or we felt fear, or we felt abandoned, or whatever that might be, perhaps we felt unsafe in the world, then these are definitely coming up to be healed at this time. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's come into our heart space. Okay, just come into your heart space. And just, if you feel you want to close your eyes, you can. If you don't, it's absolutely your space to do whatever you want to do. So just come into your heart space. Okay, and just start to breathe normally, and I'm just going to prepare the space and energy. I've already done it, but I just will do it again. Create all that is as commanded, that you pull, clear, cancel and delete on all 4 levels, and resolve on the history level. Any waywards, any watchers, any entities, any attachments, anything that does not serve anyone here on the group, anyone listening to the replay after, and release it to unconditional love, so that we may all be pure, clear channels of light, and to be receiving exactly what we need to receive today, open to hearing, open to experiencing, and open to releasing whatever stuck energy we may be holding within our heart, within our soul, and within our physical body. And so it is. Okay, good. So just take a deep breath into your heart space, and just imagine that behind your hands on your heart, you start to see this beautiful light growing as a ball of light in your heart. Fantastic. And just open your heart to receive. And just breathe in through your nose if you can, and out through your mouth. And just continue to do that, and just imagine a light, and even if you can't see it, just imagine a light glowing in your heart. And one of the reasons why we breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth is because we are essentially calming down our central nervous system. When we're in fight and flight and a fear response, we're in something called the sympathetic nervous system. And so usually when that happens, we're breathing in the top of our lungs, and we often breathe shallowly through our mouth. And that puts us into that feeling of high alert. And so what we're doing here, just in this moment, is just taking the time to breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth to activate the parasympathetic, which is the calming, the freeing, the guides are saying, so the free energy flowing through you. But calming down the central nervous system in our body, and the adrenals that sit just on our kidneys and the top of our kidneys, holding adrenaline. We're just calming that down, and we're switching off that part of us that felt that sense of fear just in that moment. So just breathe in through your nose through your mouth so that you can really hear it. And this time when you breathe in through your nose, just hold it for a couple of seconds and breathe out. Fantastic. And just do that 3 more times. One of the things that we do when we breathe through our mouth or we breathe in the top of our lungs is we stop really taking in the oxygen that we need to go into our blood. So it's actually called hypoxia, but we stop breathing in the oxygen that we need. And when we stop breathing in that amount of oxygen that we need, then we stop breathing in the light as well. And so what the guides are showing me and telling me now is for us all to imagine that as we breathe in, that we start to see each one of our cells lighting up. And so from a physical perspective, we could imagine the oxygen flowing through each one of our cells. Good. And just imagine that if we had any toxicity or just a vibration of fear in our cells, that we could just release it by breathing in more light and more love into each one of our cells. So just imagine that you're breathing in beautiful light. And even if your body is showing a message at the moment, whether it is a physical pain or just a feeling of anxiety and fear, then just to breathe light into that area of your body. Perhaps imagine a sparkly golden light. Beautiful, sparkly golden light. Fantastic. So if you were able to imagine, you could imagine that your body is actually appearing as light as you start to bring more light into it. And if you were standing outside of your body and you were looking at it, you would just see it as this beautiful light shining back at you. And that's really essentially who we are, a field of light. So I want you to imagine now that underneath your feet, you can see this beautiful star. And this is your Earth star. It's yours. It's your very own Earth star. And it connects you to the Earth and to Mother Earth or Gaia. And it allows you to feel grounded in this human experience and safe and secure, even if it is just for this moment. Just imagine that you're being supported by Mother Earth, even if you didn't feel or don't feel supported by Mother. Just imagine that the part of you connected to your Earth star is allowing you to feel that support and nourishment from the Earth. I want you to imagine that that star is going deeper into the Earth and allowing you to feel that sense of groundedness, that sense of feeling into the space, allowing you to feel that connection once again. One of the things about being grounded in our human aspect and releasing the fear allows us to create and attract more love and abundance into our life. It's really important for us to feel this sense of groundedness in our root, in our energy centers or chakras, because it's really difficult to create and manifest from a place of fear. Okay, so just feel that sense of groundedness. So maybe you could look at the color of your star. Just imagine what color you're getting. Fantastic. Okay, so then just imagine above your head another beautiful star, and this is your soul star. This is your star that connects you to the universe, to your true knowing, to perhaps all of the times you've lived before, but just really to know that this star connects you to the part of you that is very wise, very knowing, and remembers that you can heal yourself. So I want you to imagine that star as rising up above your head. And now imagine a beautiful beam. What I'm seeing is rainbow, sparkling light coming down from your soul star all the way through you, almost like a shower of rainbow light coming down and almost connecting you with a bubble. So you're sitting in this beautiful bubble of rainbow light, knowing that you're safe and secure and always protected. Okay, good. So just imagine that you're in this space and just expand that bubble out just a little bit more, just as far as you want to, knowing that you're perfectly safe, perfectly looked after. There's nothing to worry about. Okay, good. So now what I'm guided to do is to actually invite in your angels and guides. So knowing that we're in a perfectly pure space of unconditional love and it is prepared, I want you to imagine, even if you can't see them or feel them, to invite in the beautiful angels that support and help you in this lifetime. So the angelic realm are aspects that work with us to guide us and support us. And the guides are in a different role, really. They really help us from different perspectives. You know, we have a healing guide, we have the highest guides of our council. Okay, so just invite your guides, knowing that they come from a place of just perfect love for you. Like they have no other mission apart from to serve you and to listen to your asking. So I want you now to set your intention. So to set your intention just within your heart of what you would like to receive today, what you would like to heal. And just set that intention knowing that the universe hears you and your guides and angels hear you. So I'm just going to give you one moment to do that. So knowing that you are connected, that you are protected and looked after, and that you have calmed down your central nervous system in your physical being. When you feel ready, you can open your eyes. And just to let you know that if you ever wanted to learn more about connecting with your guides, then very soon, in a couple of weeks, we are holding a beginners connecting with your guides and mediumship group. So have a look on my website for that. It's really important to have your connection with your guides so that you can take yourself through your life and feel guided. Okay, so how is everyone feeling? Is anybody, oh, there's a couple of people coming in. Okay, so, okay. So if you're coming in now, you just missed the meditation, but you can just still be here and just receive, and we just set an intention. So if you just take a moment just to connect with your heart, if you haven't set your intention, then just set your intention really for what you would like to receive and release today. Okay, so what I'm being really guided here with is the part of us, the childhood part of us that is showing up, that felt that we had a fear of surviving. Mal saying, funny you should mention the sympathetic and parasympathetic. I've been studying them this week. Perfect. Mal, it's never a mistake, right? In the universe, we always get aligned to the people, that resonate and reflect. So going back to the childhood aspect, so if you imagine that you are obviously the soul having a human experience, and all of these children part of you, this child parts of you are outside of you experiencing an emotion. And what we're particularly looking at today is the fear of dying, or the fear of survival, essentially, like not being able to survive. And so that doesn't mean that you felt physically you were going to die as a child, or you felt physically you may have done, or you felt physically that something happened in your life where you had that fear. But what it shows is the fear of separation, okay, as I spoke about at the beginning. So when we have this fear of separation, what we're actually doing in the world is we're walking about the world as this beautiful expression of who we are. And these children that are feeling this fear of separation are literally showing up. Like, we don't know they're there necessarily, but we respond as a child to situations. So it's quite interesting how, there's an expression, it's in the UK, but you're acting like a child, right? Well, actually, we are. So we are walking about the world acting like a child unless we have made an acceptance of that part of ourselves, meaning we've healed that part of us, or we understand that we are responding like a child. And of course, that shows up in relationships, which is obviously another story, yeah? But, we look at our relationships outside of us, and those relationships, you might not want to hear this, but those relationships are a reflection of our beliefs about ourselves. Hard to hear sometimes. But what it means is that we are taking responsibility for our own emotions, all right? So when we start to take responsibility, everyone here that's on my membership and doing my programs takes full responsibility for what they attract into their experience, right? This is part of our journey of the fear of survival. So as we look at the news, as we hear a story, as we have a fear of dying or someone else leaving us, then this fear is not really from today. This fear is from times before that we felt this sense and this fear of survival and this fear of separation. And of course, those aspects of us are from many times before, and there is a history with bringing it in epigenetically. We can bring that in from growing in the womb, from our ancestors and so on, and of course past lives if we believe that. But if we're looking at this aspect, let's do some work on the children that are outside of us, or the child that's outside of us, meaning our inner child, that actually felt that feeling of the fear of survival or the fear of dying, i.e. the fear of separation. So let's do that. Okay, so we're all connected and we're feeling this sense of calmness. I'm listening and seeing the messages pop up here, and people are saying that they feel peaceful, which is where I really wanted you to be from this space. So just come into your heart space now, knowing that you're perfectly safe and that, whatever emotions you experience are just perfectly in alignment with what you need to heal, okay? So just come into your heart space, okay, and close your eyes if you can, and you feel happy to do so. And I want you just to go into your heart. Imagine that you could actually journey into your heart, that you could actually almost be in your heart, walk into your heart. And so the way the guides are giving me is to imagine that there was this little part of you in your heart, and just get a sense of how old that child is. Okay, and we're going to invite that child to step out just for a moment and show themselves. And some of you will be able to see, and some of you will just get a knowing. Some of you won't feel anything, and that's absolutely fine. And some of you may just hear. So if you were to know and you could guess how old that child is just now, feel the sense of the number that you get, and then invite that child just to be present. Okay, good. And just have a look at them and how do they feel? What emotion is coming for you? How are they feeling about being here in the world? Their fear of separation to source, to God, to the universe, maybe to mother. Just connect with how they feel. Okay, and where do you feel that in your body? Just acknowledge that feeling that you have in your body. Just breathe into it. Okay, good. And so now I want you to imagine or see or feel, imagine that angels are surrounding your little child. And just allow that child to feel that sense of safety and security once again. And just see how they feel now, knowing that they are protected and safe with the angels around them. And then I want you to imagine that there is an angel stepping forward, and even if you can't see it, just imagine. And this angel has a beautiful basket full of sparkling stars. And all these stars are pure. They're cleansed, they're healed, they're just pure energy. And I want your little child to choose the star that feels like connection. Okay? And I want them just to take that star and place it in their heart, knowing that by placing it in their heart, they feel this sense of always being connected and never separated. Good, excellent. Take a deep breath and just acknowledge how that feels. And now I want your child to look in the basket, or just get a sense of it if you can't see, and imagine that they're taking the star and choosing the star that is unconditional love. So I want them now to take that star, hold it in their little hands, and just place it in their heart, feeling the energy of unconditional love and remembering that they're worthy of unconditional love and that they deserve unconditional love and that they are unconditional love. So just be with that feeling just for a moment. Feel that warmth maybe. Fantastic. And now I want your child to look in the basket to find the star of freedom. And just have a look at what colour that star might be. Quite often it's green. And green is about the heart and freedom in the heart. But don't worry if it's a different colour. So I want your child to choose that star of freedom. And once again, place it in their heart, remembering that they were always free, they just forgot. Okay. Good. So now I want them to find the star of peace. So just get them to find the star of peace and choose it. And even if you can't see any of this, just know that our intention is that your child outside of you is receiving the healing they need. And just imagine that you're receiving it. Okay, so just get the child to place that star of peace in their heart, remembering that they can come back to that, knowing that they have peace within their heart anytime. They just forgot that they had this peace, and they're just reminding themselves now that they do. Great. Okay, so the next one I'm being guided with here is mission. Okay, so I want your child to just look in the basket and see the mission star. And sometimes the mission star is a bit bigger than other ones. Sometimes it's not, doesn't matter. And just get them to choose the mission star and to hold the mission star, knowing that when they place it in their heart, they remember on a soul level, on a vibrational level, why they chose to come this time. So just get them to place that in their heart. Take a deep breath on that one. Good, excellent. And now I want them to look in the basket, because there is a beautiful cloak of protection for them. So I want them to take the cloak. Imagine that you can see a cloak. It might be a bit like a Harry Potter one that goes around them and allows them to be invisible to others and they feel completely protected. Or it might be a sparkly one. Just choose whatever is right for your child. They can take that out of the basket and place it on their shoulders. And that only they can see this, and their angels can see this, and you can see this, and perhaps I could, but no one else. They feel completely protected. That's good. Okay, two more things. Okay, so okay, one sec. This is what my guides do. They talk to me and then change something. Okay, good. So the next thing that they wish for your child to take actually is a beautiful crown. And this crown is a crown of sovereignty. And I want your child to take the crown out of the basket, and I can see it with jewels on it. Yours may be different, but just have a look at what's on that crown and get your child to place it on their head. Truly owning their sovereignty, meaning their soul having a human experience at this time. That they have choice, that they have free will, that they came with free will. Okay, good. And then the next thing that they wish for your child to have is a magic wand. And this magic wand usually has a star at the top. And the star is full of magic, meaning beautiful healing light. So I want your child to pick up that beautiful magic wand and hold it in their hand. Good, excellent. So now check in with how your child feels. How are they feeling that they've received all of those emotions? How are they feeling that they are connected, that they have angels with them, that they have everything they need to carry out their mission? So I want them to get their magic wand and just magic anything they want. So they can magic an outfit, some fairy wings, some angel wings, whatever they want to magic, and get them to do that now. So it reminds them that they are the creator of their reality, that they can create and change anything. So perhaps they want to change their shoes into sparkly shoes, whatever. Just get them to do that now. Okay, fantastic. Take a deep breath on that one. Good. And now this really important part is where we are truly giving our child compassion. So even if you can't see your child, you haven't got a sense of it, it's new to you, I really want you to say these words, okay? And the reason for that is because as we give ourselves, i.e. the child within, compassion, we are healing ourselves on a very deep, profound level, because it's all of the times that we didn't receive what we needed in that moment. All right? So I want you to say these words as if you're saying them to your child. So I want you to say, I'm so sorry that you felt this fear of survival. Okay, and just connect and see how that feels. I'm so sorry that when you felt this fear of survival, there was no one there to help you understand it. Take a deep breath. Just connect with your child and just feel how it feels as you acknowledge them. Now I want you to say, I'm so sorry that this made you feel the fear of dying and the fear of loss. Okay. I'm so sorry that you felt all this fear in your body and you held it there because you didn't know how to release it. Okay. And then I want you to say, I'm so sorry that you forgot you had a magic wand that was with you at all times, that you could just magic away that fear. And now I want you to get your child to just wave their wand, and any fear you can see, feel, experience, I want them to just wave the wand with sparkling light and just release that fear now. Take a deep breath. I can see, many of you, this is in the deep core aspect of you. So I just want to just do a little bit of work here. So just stay with your child and just use that magic wand, releasing the fear that they've held for so long. It may not even be theirs, sometimes we can hold emotions of guilt or fear or shame or whatever it might be from our parents, from our ancestors, epigenetically, whatever it is. So sometimes it's not even ours. Okay, so create all that is. It's commanded that you pull, clear, cancel and delete on all 4 levels and resolve in the history level for everyone here present, anyone listening to the replay after. Release the fear of survival, the fear of death, the fear of dying, the fear of separation. To release it from their physical body, from their soul essence, from all of the lifetimes they've lived before, from their crystalline light field, so that they may remember that they are connected, that there is no separation, that they are free to choose, they are free to create, and that there is nothing in this world to be afraid of. To release this all now, across all the timelines, all the lifetimes, any time at all they've ever felt the fear of dying, the fear of survival, the fear of death, to release it. And any contracts, any agreements, anything that they come in to experience, to release it now, if it is for their highest and best good, to release it now to unconditional love. And any thought forms, any entities, any attachments, anything that's showing itself now to be released, so that they may all be free to feel the joy of life, to feel the joy of expression, being human, to remember who they are, to remember that they're here for a really important reason, and that there is nothing to be afraid of. that they chose to be here at this time, to be a light in the world, however they choose to do that. So take a deep breath. Tis done, tis done, tis done. Thank you, show me. It's better. Okay, so I want you to connect with your child now, and I want you to say to them, I will always love and accept you for who you are. Whoever you choose to be in the world, and whoever you choose to be with. And then I want you to imagine that you could invite your child into your heart space. So imagine that they were coming back into your heart space. And maybe you can see them sitting in your heart, just imagine, with their magic wand, with their cloak of protection. Let's bring the angels in as well, with their basket of stars. And that feeling of calm, of safety, of protection. And knowing that that part of you now has released the fear and integrated back within you. Just stay there for a few moments. Just feel that sense. Just breathe into your heart. And just in this moment, give yourself thanks for that work that you've done, the healing that you've done on yourself, for yourself. Thank yourself for listening, to being guided, to doing this work. And whatever experience you had, whether you were able to see or not see, or hear or not hear, or feel or not feel, know that today, just in this moment, you have received healing. And there's just a little extra part of you now that will feel that sense of peace and unity and calmness. When you feel ready, no rush, just come back. I'm going to have a little bit of water. How's everyone feeling? When we do that process, or a similar process, it's from my program Sparkle to Success actually, and my book is based on all my processes that I use with clients to heal yourself. But essentially that process is helping us to align, thanks Roshni, and then now, to align to the part of us that did not feel safe in this world. So it's the first time that we felt that sense of disconnect to source, or to, let's say, our inner guidance. And so I stumbled upon this working with veterans with PTSD, and I noticed that when we healed the part of us that felt the fear of survival, when they healed that part of them through these processes, the emotional wall is another process that's really powerful. And when we heal those parts of us, then the symptom of post-traumatic stress was no longer present. And so what that told me, and it was anecdotal research I didn't even mean to do, what I noticed with hundreds, I mean, I had like 200 veterans I was working with, and I noticed that every single one of them stopped having those feelings of heightened alert, you know, like this fight and flight and high alert that they were on, this hypervigilance. And that was because they healed the part of them that felt disconnected to source. And of course that was, you know, I kind of came across that and then started speaking about it at a conference, and that led to my speaking career. And it's kind of how that journey happened. And so I know 100% that when we heal these parts of us, and that was one part of you today, which will be a domino effect throughout the whole of your life. So when you heal that part of you that felt separated from source, or disconnected, which isn't true, then when you heal that part of you, then everything else, it's like, in artificial intelligence, it's spreading activation, it's like in your brain waves. And so you start to see that the world in a different way. So when you go to the supermarket, you will see people, I was going to say hugging them, but that's obviously not going to happen. But you would see people smiling. Maybe you wouldn't see that either, but you would actually see a different energy in people than if you hadn't healed that part of you. Do you see what I'm saying? So we then are walking about the world with a completely different vibrational set point. And that set point is a reflection of our own vibration. I loved it that they brought in the crown, because that's been coming a lot recently. And it's because it's like, let's own our sovereignty, let's own our power, let's own that part of us that perhaps we feel sometimes our power is taken away, and that there's something outside of us that has that power instead of us. Okay. And I think that's one of the key things about this time is to feel that we can make these choices, and that we are this incredible being of light here for an important reason. And that isn't to take away from, that there are situations in the world, there are many that are in fear, and it's not to take away from that, because we're all here to have this beautiful contrast. So we need to experience some things like that. We need to experience loss. Definitely, it took me many years to understand, why Martin had to take his life at 34. It took me many years to really understand that. And so I definitely feel and understand what people are going through at this time. But also on the other side of it, I also know that there is a much bigger reason for every single person's reason for being here than we can ever know. And when babies, choose to touch the earth plane for a week or 2 weeks, or, whatever it is, we can never think, why would that be? Because we couldn't imagine that. But there's always a reason. And that's the thing that, is the hardest thing I think about being on this earth. So let's have some questions. Let's do some more healing. We've got nearly a whole hour. But if anyone wants to take their work further, then we've got a membership which includes all of my sessions each month. I think five groups we run, which is part of the membership. There's also a new program, Abundance Gateway, coming up in Feb. We've got the beginners guides and mediumship. So there's loads of stuff you can basically find on my website that you can have a look at, and definitely join the list if you're not on it. So would anyone like to? Souls choose different experiences. Exactly, Natalie. Yeah. Did you want to speak, Natalie? Did you want to talk about that or ask a question?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Hi, Natalie. Hi.
Sorry.
Thanks for being here. Yeah, thanks for being
I was going from the chat.
Have I met you before? Don't think have I met you before, Natalie? No, I don't think I have. No. So thank you for being here. And how did you experience that process?
The process was really good.
How old was your child?
I was trying to bring in a particular child because I know that I've had so many different
Mm.
traumas at different ages.
Yeah.
So I had the baby me, I had the 4-year-old me, I had the 12-year-old me, I had the 14-year-old me. They all
Yeah.
turned up.
Yeah,
You know,
amazing.
so
So
I
you were
really
being
feel
fast tracked, right?
yeah,
Today. Yeah.
well, I feel I need to do the process again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go a little bit slower. And when you talked about the cloak, I
Yeah.
was actually given 2 cloaks. The first one was red, but then I was given a midnight blue cloak
Lovely.
on top of the red one.
Yeah, so you
I've got
need a
2.
little bit extra protection, maybe. Yeah, feeling that sense
Yeah.
of protection. So why did you choose to come today? Because obviously you didn't know we were going to do that process. So what drew you to come on this call today?
Well, 3 words. Fear of death.
Yeah.
That's what drew me in today.
Yeah. And are
Because
you worried about what's going on in the world? Are you concerned, or are you worried about anyone in particular, or yourself
I'm not
even?
no, I'm not worried, because I know it's all has a purpose, and I know a
Yeah.
lot of songs have, and that's going to sound very harsh, but they've chosen to leave at this point.
Yeah. And you know, and it can feel harsh, can't it? Especially if somebody, you know, has lost somebody, if someone's here and they have lost somebody recently, and
Well,
you
yeah,
know,
yes, it is.
it can, you know, it can feel like that. And 100% we can look at it from lots of different ways, can't we? From a deep soul perspective, we know that there's always, as I said before, you know, an incredible reason that we don't know about, right? I've helped many people this year and last year to help their loved ones pass over, because with the Rainbow Bridge, you know, there's a particular way that we can do that when they are suffering. And there's many people that have come to me that have said they want their loved one to pass over because it's just really painful for them to be here at this time, and they're at end of life. But it doesn't take away, does it, from that fear?
No, it doesn't take away
Yeah.
the human experience of having all these emotions about losing loved
Yeah.
ones. It
Yeah.
doesn't. But if you can at least have some, I think if you can have this higher understanding of everything happens for a reason, there's always
Yeah.
a purpose for everything. On the nearly spoke that language, sorry. It came out.
I think the other thing as well is to understand as well as being a medium, is that we, you know, loved ones are just this is what the guides are giving me here. So loved ones are just that, almost like a veil or a doorway away. And often they will just pop in, you know, with me when I'm working with someone, especially if I work with people regularly. The mother will pop in, or particular people here will know that sometimes their mother's always here, and it's almost like they're watching over us or making sure I'm doing my job right but they're watching over and wanting to give those words of encouragement and love. Because, and also there's something else that's coming to me, is there's a particular process, cutting the cords with forgiveness. Maybe we'll do that another time. And often when a loved one has passed over and we haven't healed that relationship, it's really important to cut the ties with love and forgiveness, right? And one of the ways that happens, they step in and they are ready to literally release that energetic connection that was holding you, not you personally, Natalie, but holding us in this feeling of guilt or fear or shame or whatever it might be, because we've held on to the fact that we didn't say sorry, or we've held on to the fact that we didn't say goodbye, or and so healing that is really important. The guys are just reminding me. So there are
I
many
also
aspects.
feel it's not just for us. My experience, okay, is that not only it keeps us stuck.
Oh, totally agree.
But it
Yeah,
keeps
that it
them
keeps
stuck
them
as
well.
well.
I don't know if it's stuck. What they tell me
I
is
feel
it just allows them to evolve to a
yes,
new
well, that's what I
level.
mean. It is,
Yeah.
it's them stuck in that.
I don't know
and
if
I'm
it's
talking from
stuck. I think it's. I think
experience.
I think we have to be a bit careful with our language with that, because often people feel that if somebody has taken their life, let's say, some people have said, and I've heard this said a lot with people, that they're in, you know, like stuck in limbo land, and that's definitely not true.
No, it's not.
But what it is just evolving to the next level. Thanks, Natalie. Right, well, I'm going to take
holding, when we're holding on to
chords,
what we had, which is perfectly natural.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Natalie. Brilliant. Okay, so anybody else? So who's that saying that? Let me have a look. These flash up so quickly. So thanks, Linnell. It's lovely.
My name's Alison. Is it okay if I?
Yeah, sure. I'm just reading Mirabelle. I know this is you, Sarah, actually, not Mirabelle, but you're on her account. Yeah, so you were getting wrapped up in, I was trying to do this. Yeah, so it drew you into, one sec, it's really hard to see this. Bear with me a sec, I just want to make sure that I'm reading it. Oh, must be an easier way of doing this, right? Oh, there we go. Yeah, the news, you're getting wrapped up in the news, Sarah. Yeah, and that's what happens. You know, we can watch the news, can't we? Definitely, Alison, speak absolutely in a moment. But yeah, we get wrapped up in what is going on and what the media wants to portray to us, okay, as a fear aspect. And it's a really great way of controlling people when you put lots of fear out. In that energy, which then reflects the little bit of fear that we might have within us. Yeah. Okay, Alison, where are you on the screen? I can't see
sorry,
you.
I haven't got.
Oh, there you are. It's all right. It lights up when someone speaks. So I found you.
Right. Okay. What I found really interesting when I saw, I got the email and the invite to be here. I really wanted to be here. Now, I've been blessed, probably like many other people on the call, with a lot of knowledge about spirit, and I actually deliver workshops and that myself.
Yeah,
but within the blessed knowledge I've been given, I have always had this fear of dying.
Wow.
Even I know, and I had no idea where it's coming from. Now, this proves to me personally today, with the knowledge that I have and the workshops I give, with this still having this fear of dying, it was coming from somewhere. And I feel it was coming from my inner child, from what I've experienced as a child in my life. Yeah. So even though I'm medium clairvoyant, I have this knowledge about afterlife and everything else, why was this fear still with me? And it goes back to the inner child. And in this process today, I went back to a time where it was very traumatic, where I did feel very alone, saw myself perfectly, but done a lot of crying, so I knew I was releasing. As soon as we start crying, we know that's it, you know, we're releasing. Absolutely. Which is wonderful. What I got mixed up with in all of this, as it was happening, was I was also trying to write down what the process of what you were telling us. So for example, so
you should never do that, Alison.
Yeah, I didn't realise. I thought, you know, this is so vivid for me that I could maybe then go back and do it again, because I unfortunately didn't record it.
It's on replay. I always
record
everything. I record everything that I create.
Oh, that's really helpful.
Everybody who signed up gets the replay.
That's wonderful. Yeah. That's really helpful. Yeah. Thank you for that. But it just goes to show that even with people who have trod this journey, and who know quite a lot about, and I don't mean that in an egotistical way, but you know quite a lot, can still have these deep core feelings that won't go away. I can sit there and advise everyone else. When it's yourself.
So it's an infinite trust, which, you know, obviously, you know, I don't have a fear of dying. I don't want to leave my children. Okay, so I have two children that are 13 and nearly 12.
Yes.
Obviously, I don't want to leave my children, but that is the only aspect. I don't have a fear of the physical, actual dying, but obviously, I don't want to leave my children. So that's a normal human aspect of who we are, right?
It's for being incarnate, really, isn't it? You know,
well, that's being human, right? That's our experience. But it is really important, and definitely as mediums, really important that we have an infinite trust in the fact that we have obviously have our guides, but also that we have no fear of dying. But, you know, and what they were doing there as well as, you know, when partly through it, I said, well, there's some more stuff that we need to clear. So what they were showing me was many lifetimes in the Akashic records. So what happens then is that when we're healing, and this is for everybody, when we're healing that childhood part of us, our vibration holds an imprint, I suppose we could call it, an imprint of other times, and our mothers and fathers stuff as well, right? So we have that imprint, and when that imprint is being released, imagine our vibrations getting lighter, then what I can see and what shows up for me is all of the aspects that are ready to be released. Okay?
Yes.
So then I see it sort of like
universal timing.
Yeah, but so physically it then leaves your field. So then it's like a domino effect, as I said before. So that domino effect is throughout the whole of your life. So, you know, we've got contracts, we could go deeply into this, right? Which we do on our workshops. But you know, we go into the deep stuff. But for the purpose of this, we're just looking at really that part of us that felt that fear of survival, that fear of dying. And it always is never about today.
No, I agree.
You know, today is the sum of the parts of then. And Eckhart Tolle talks about the power of now, and now is just the now of everything.
I mean, the thing is we're going through the biggest shift in our existence, the ascension. And, you know, the thing is, you know, we need to let go of this stuff. And that's why your work and other people like you are so important, because we, you know, with the skills I have, and I don't mean this egotistically, the skills that I have and the knowledge I've been offered and given, I still couldn't do it alone. I can do it for other people in the workshops. I can't do it for me.
But we're not, you know, I feel very honoured to have my soul family, you know, my membership and my group that I work with, because we are all part of a soul family. And so as I'm running my programs, I'm healing stuff I didn't even know I needed to heal.
And I've probably done the same, but I haven't never thought of it that way. But thank you for letting me speak. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for being here, sharing your light. Thanks,
you.
Alison. Has anybody got a question? Chrissy, Sandy.
There we are.
Hi, my love.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. I've really been feeling Mum around me loads since she went last week, and she came with this beautiful golden heart, like pulsating 2 days after she passed. And then today, before I came on the process, but I knew I needed to come and do the process. But a beautiful, she was in the car and she came and put a white garland of flowers around my neck, which was like really, but I really felt about not in the process my child, because I always felt discounted by Dad, didn't I? And about because of my mum's psychiatric problems, how was I going to survive without love? But when I healed the child, I've now got really emotional feeling that I can survive without their love, because I have so many gifts and so much. And I know that she went for a reason, Susan, and I know it was time.
Yeah.
It was time for her to go. And I think she's going to be there on the other side, really helping me now.
Well, I have
feel
to
much
say,
closer than ever.
the two things that I feel very strongly,
and I get really emotional then. I feel closer to her than ever.
The two things I feel really strongly is that she can help you better now than she ever could. And the second thing is that her brain is clear.
I know, and it never was. Bless her heart.
The fog is lifted.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah, really feel. And she's got so much love. She always did have, but she was just so, no, well, you know, anyway. Bless her heart.
Yeah, I do. But, you know, sending you much love, you know, I know, obviously I know what's happened and how it was. And we did the Rainbow Bridge, didn't we? And you did the Rainbow
really
Bridge.
Helped.
And really helped her when she was ready.
Yeah, she was ready, definitely. She didn't want to be here anymore. Not from months ago with the suicide and then getting COVID. But she held loads of fear in her lungs, you see. So at least she got that. It was like, I can't breathe. And I know because she is so terrified in the hospital. Yeah.
And that environment, because she'd obviously been in a hospital several times in her life. And, you know, that would have reminded her of how she felt before.
And she's so happy now. I just feel she's so happy and released.
And that's a really good point, you know, for everyone to hear, is that when we do pass over, is that it is a complete release. If anybody has Netflix, there's a series that is called The Surviving Death, and it's really fascinating. And it talks about people's experiences of dying and then coming back, meaning that they had near-death experiences. And I won't go fully into it, but essentially it's talking about the experience of leaving with complete peace, with complete love, with the feeling of just being completely loved in that moment. And so we have to know that life is not, you know, life goes on, the soul goes on, and it is just a doorway. And that doorway is just ready for anyone to open. But what I would say to, and I know you know this, Chrissy, but I would say that if you have lost somebody, then find a medium that you feel a real resonance with. You know, sometimes spirit won't come through in a group situation. They want to, sometimes they will, but sometimes they want to just come through with specific people. And you know, maybe they resonate with their energy and that's who they want to come and bring a message through to. And we find that on the advanced channeling group that I run, and that when I have guests, you know, that come on, you know, to be read for guinea pigs, different loved ones will come through, but maybe not the one they wanted to. And that's because that one wants to come through in a private situation. So just know that if you go and see a medium, anyone here, go and see a medium and you get somebody else and not the person that you thought, it will be because they weren't coming through that medium at that time. It doesn't mean that they're not okay, and it doesn't mean that they're not completely free, and it doesn't mean that, you know, they had a peaceful transition. And the other thing to say about that is that, and I just know this from working as a medium for so long, evidence wise, not from just hearsay, that they tell me that certain people meet them, you know, that maybe their mother met them, or their father met them, or their sister met them, and the animals are there too, and so it's all perfect. Even though on this side it seems like a real painful struggle, that is just, and what the guide said to me many years ago when I used to teach circle physically at home, they said, this life is a second. When you pass over, this is a second of your soul's expansion, a moment in time. And so don't be so serious about it. That's what they said. Like, don't take it so seriously. And yet when we hear, we take it really seriously.
Yeah.
We have to do this, or we have to do that, or that's really awful, and that. And I find myself doing it, yeah. And yet this is what I teach. So as Alison said, you know, you can teach something, but you still have to experience it yourself. So yeah, well, my heart goes out to you, darling, and thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you everyone.
Okay, let me hear from anyone else. Yeah, just mute. That's great. Thanks, Chrissy. Let me just, oh gosh, there's loads of messages. Hold on. Oh, how interesting, Natalie. My dad would never come through until I went to a different medium. He said he didn't like her energy. Exactly. That's exactly how it is, which, you know, we're the same, right? We resonate with certain people as therapists or mediums or friends, you know, people we meet, we resonate with them. Some people we don't resonate with. So it's no different when we pass over. So one of the things I wanted to say was about dis-ease. Has anybody got any questions about the messages in the body? One of my favourite subjects, actually. So if anyone's got any, you know, questions about that, about, you know, where they might have felt fear, and fear is really that message that's held in the body. If we're thinking of the lungs, then, you know, we're really looking at the brainstem, which is the fear of survival. So if we look at what's happening, you know, with many of these people experiencing discomfort and dis-ease, then we're really looking at the fear that I'll definitely reply to the diabetes, definitely, in a sec. It's one of my favourite things to talk about as well. So, you know, essentially we're looking at what is going on within the body in the sense of the fear that people are feeling. And Chrissy mentioned that about her mum, you know, that she had a lot of fear within her lungs. And so that's where that was targeted for her. So Natalie, yes, fear in the stomach. So it also, we're looking at the colon. And that feeling like, you know, the transverse colons, we've got the ascending, transverse and descending. And when we look at that, you know, we hold our stomach, don't we, which is where our solar plexus is. And so that is also about the fear. So if we see that there is a message in the body around the colon, then we know that that's survival, okay? And quite often anger as well, actually. So diabetes, really fascinating. So type 2, yes. So if we're looking at diabetes, then we are looking at, I have to say a disclaimer. Okay, my disclaimer is, this is why I love my guides. My disclaimer is I am not a doctor. I do not claim to diagnose or heal or cure. Okay. So when we're looking at diabetes, we're looking at a shock, a trauma, an aspect of ourselves that feels an experience of a feud in the family. So a feeling of unrest in the family. So it could be an heirship or an inheritance that someone was due and they didn't receive it. And this can be also down the ancestral line, but quite often we will experience the islet cells within the pancreas producing, which then gives us the high sugar, which when we go to the doctor, we get tested for sugar and it says, oh, your sugar's really high, then you have type 2 diabetes, okay? So that actually will balance itself out once you heal the unexpected dramatic event, trauma that happened around a feud in the family, a chunk of money that you didn't get. So it could be an inheritance or property or something like that, that perhaps your father was owed or your mother was owed or you didn't get, or, you know, something like that. And what I found is that when that part is healed, and this has happened many times with many people I've worked with, then they no longer have they're called alpha islet cells, producing within the pancreas. So then they no longer have that high raised sugar. It's very interesting. So the person on iPad, they haven't got a name, so iPad, who said diabetes, tell me, yeah, if that, does that make sense to you? I don't know your name, so yeah, okay, so that's spot on for you. Yeah, so if you think of it that way, so where you would do your work, if it's for you, where you would do your work would be really healing that part of you that felt wronged by another, either in the family or something that you felt was owed to you. And sometimes this comes up, she was due an inheritance, which the in-laws, which she didn't get. There we are, see? So that's a clear example of what happens, and then it's held in that part of the body. Isn't that fascinating? Yeah. So then what you really need to do is heal the emotions around that. Okay, really key to heal the emotions around that. And I'm not going to say to you don't take medication. I would never say that, because that just happens naturally. All right, so yeah, feel free to contact me directly and work with that. Okay. That's really interesting. Yeah. Okay. So when we're thinking, okay, let's do this. So when we're thinking of muscles and bones, so somebody's just spoken about their hands and fingers getting stiff. Okay. So when we're thinking about muscles and bones and cartilage, we're looking at our identity. We're looking at our self-worth and our identity. So where is it? Oh yeah, I'll talk about arthritis in a moment. So where is it that you've made an acceptance of your identity? All right. So when we get pain in our muscles or our bones, we automatically think that's a really bad thing. And of course, it might feel that way at the time, but it's called second phase of healing. So we have a shock, a trauma, we then have an acceptance, we then have a healing peak, which is in this case, it's the pain. And then we feel this sense of discomfort. Now, when we heal the shock and the trauma, we've made some acceptance, and so the body shows that message, right? But if it continues, then we know that that was not the causal reason. So then we go back further to identity. And at the moment, excuse me, this is massive. You know, people are really coming into their identity, really coming into who they are, really realizing that they can listen to their inner guidance, right? So they're realizing who they are. Okay, so I hope that helps. Laurie, Susan has helped me get off 3 meds last year, including metformin. Yeah, I'm so thrilled and grateful to be med free. Yeah, so Laurie has stopped taking medication, but we've worked with lots of deep aspects of emotions and different traumas, etc. And at no point, Laurie, did I ever say, come off your medication, did I? At no point, because this was all about her feeling whether she needed it or not. All right, so it comes naturally. We don't actually ever need to even talk about it, because the body naturally just forgets to take it. Okay, so yeah, Laurie's getting lots of, that's great, Laurie, and that's brilliant. Yeah, well, that is an incredible expression. Lancing, I'm going to come to you. That's an incredible expression of how we heal ourselves and how we heal our body. And Lancing, I'm going to ask you to speak, because we kind of didn't know, but I feel like it's the right time. I'll talk about skin. I will talk about skin, definitely, but let me speak to Lancing first. So Lancing has a beautiful story to share, and feel free to plug your blog. I'd love you to.
Oh, okay. Well, some of you know me already, but those of you who don't know me, I had cancer in 2018, rectal cancer actually in 2018, and had surgery, and then totally changed my diet, and was like, did the medical medium and was very scared, and and I guess fear just was like all in my body, and I was doing everything I could not to get cancer again, because they told me I had Lynch syndrome. But sure enough, I got cancer again in the uterus, and I had a full hysterectomy. And it was at that point that I said, my body's trying to tell me something. And I had heard about Susan from my sister. She had passed on a meditation that she did. And I thought, I really resonate with Susan. I'm going to reach out to her. And so, long story short, I started doing one of her workshops and really understood that the cancer that I was having in my body was stemming back to my childhood trauma, that I was, this fear of being a woman, really.
It's identity, wasn't it?
It's definitely identity and fear of becoming a woman. And by working on the fear in my body and doing lots of meditations with the light, and I felt like a lot of more courage coming up. And so when the doctor said to me, we advise you to do radiation now, just to make sure that the cancer doesn't come back, I was listening to myself finally, listening to my guides, listening to my intuition, was saying, no, don't do it. And so took a lot of courage. But at that point, I said, I'd rather fill my cells with love and light than kill the cells by burning them up with radiation. Yeah. And I came to that on my own.
Yeah.
And then I haven't looked back, and I feel really great, actually. My health is really good. And I've gone back to the doctor a couple of times now, and they've checked me out, and there's no cancer. And people look at me and say, I can't believe you had cancer twice, And so definitely working on the fear aspects in my life and the childhood trauma has been amazing. And I was so inspired that I started a blog called whenmybodytalks.com. And so I write about, when you hear something, when your body's sending you messages, your body's always telling you things. And so your body is your best friend. And so it's important to listen to your body. And
that's a good point, because we would see, sometimes people would see that somebody might say, well, your body's let you down, or I hate this body, or that kind of thing. And we do hear this a lot. And we also hear, we're going to eradicate this virus, we're going to kill this virus, we're going to kill this cell, we're going to do this. What we're doing, as you know, is that we're just putting that vibration of killing and fear back into our system, which is connected to everything, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. And I used to hate my body. I really did. I said, it's like, ugh. I would look in the mirror and go like that. And and now, I'm just like, I'm appreciative. I look at my scars. I go, the beautiful scars.
Yeah. They tell a story, right? Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And and lancing is a living, breathing experience, and of true unconditional love for yourself, isn't it? I mean, we're a work in progress. We're constantly
work in progress, definitely.
Myself working on myself all the time. You're working on yourself all the time. Like, it's not a journey that is like a quick fix, but the key thing is truly releasing that fear, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think, I don't know, do you feel this, like in the world, what we're seeing is just a reflection of so much fear?
Yeah. I mean, the fear, if you think about the fear, it just like lowers your immune system right there.
Well, exactly. So we go into that fear, don't we, which is an absence of light, which is an absence of love. Mm-hmm. So we're saying, well, I need to kill this off. I need to put something in my body to stop this, Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're constantly thinking, well, I need something outside of me to make me better, when really, of course, we need practitioners, we need support, we need emotion to help us, but we don't need something outside of us, do we? And I think that is the key as well.
That just the power of bringing the light from source down into your body and grounding yourself, you know, to Mother Earth. That's
and
amazing.
know that you're not separate, Lancing. To know that you're not separate. I think the key thing, like definitely with trauma, is that you feel separated, because in that moment, shock, I'm separated. So you put up that heart wall we talk about all the time, you know, put up that heart wall, and then of course what you're reflecting out is a reflection of your heart walled. Interesting. Thanks, Lancing, for sharing that. And it's whenmybodytalks.com. So have a look at Lancing's beautiful blog. So beautiful. So let me have a look here. Skin. Okay, so skin is the cortex part of the brain. And skin is around separation. So if we're looking at the epidermis in this case, so on the top of the skin, the epidermis. So we're looking at separation. So we're looking at the fear of separation. But when we see a message in the skin, meaning we see, I don't know, like we're itchy or a rash or something like that, then we have made an acceptance that we are not separated. Now, what's really, thanks, Lena. What's really interesting is that when I worked with eczema with children, I didn't work with the child, I worked with the mother. And so when we healed the birth trauma, or we healed the pregnancy trauma, or the fear of not getting pregnant at all, the baby's eczema went. So what do you think is going on there? Well, when we heal the fear of separation from mother, the baby no longer needs to show that they are not separated. It's really cool the way it works. So essentially, the baby then heals the mother's fear of separation. Kind of interesting, yeah? So it's essentially, we used to think it was just fear of separation to mother, but now I really, really feel it's fear of separation to source and our mission. And I've really noticed that recently. So what we're going to be finding with a lot of people is that we're going to be seeing skin problems coming up. We're going to see lung problems, but we're going to see skin problems, because there'll be a lot of people saying, oh my God, like I kind of know who I am now, right? And so they start to see that, because there's that acceptance that I'm not separated anymore. Make sense? So we might think it's a bad thing, but actually it's a good thing. Right, so let's have a look. Yeah, interesting. So itchy skin, yeah. So if you think about the words itchy skin, well, maybe there's a bit of you that needs to do something else, right? And be more connected, who knows? So, okay, strange rashes. Yeah, Natalie, that could be what it's about. Yeah, and if we've got psoriasis, then that's a double conflict. So that is, I have a fear of being separated, but I also want to be separated. So that's a really quite a deep one, where we have double conflict going on in the skin. Okay, if it's in the dermis, which is under the skin, then and hair as well, then we're looking at an ugly conflict. So something that, so we see this a lot in teenagers, where we see acne, and that is because they are looking at themselves saying, well, I don't like what I see, right? So the skin is then showing them, and this is first phase, I feel an ugly conflict. Yeah, so that's under the skin. That is, okay, yeah, I'll answer that in a moment. So essentially, if you have something under the skin, then something is getting under your skin. Interesting, right? So Betty says, can migraines be related to fear as well? So a migraine is quite often a message in the body telling you that your crown is expanding and you're not listening to your opening of your pure consciousness. So that happens with people. And so that's a message we have to listen to. If you have just a headache, then that's a healing peak. So quite often that will be, we get that at times of the moons, like we've got a full moon this week, and on Friday I've got my moon, my donation moon event. So please come on the full moon astrology event if you want to. But people might be feeling they have headaches now or around the time of the full moon or the new moon, and it's because we're having healing peaks, like our body's going into a big acceptance and regeneration, tiredness as well. Okay, Lily, perhaps you can, Lilia can message me privately about that. Okay, so weight is very interesting. So the weight cells, the cells are called, what are they called? Hold on. I can't remember the technical term for them, but essentially what we're doing is we're holding on to protection. So this is survival. And so we're holding on to, in the fat cells, we're holding on to that message of protection. And so if you think about where you have the weight, okay, then think about where you're needing to protect yourself. And quite often if we've experienced abuse as a child, whether it's physical, emotional, whatever it is, then we would put up that layer of protection. However, being in lockdown, maybe a lot of people are sitting watching TV a lot and not getting out to do any exercise, and that's another story. Okay, migraines, I think it explains a lot. So neck tension, obviously muscles and bones, we need to be thinking about the identity and self-worth, but we also, right at the base of our skull, is really to do with all the lifetimes we've had before. So it could be that there's something opening up there, Guy, where you're releasing a lot of those old lifetimes. And it can also be that someone in your life is a pain in the neck. Who's a pain in the neck for you? It's quite interesting when you do work like that and you're like, Guy's laughing. Oh, yeah, well, you know, let's say we've all got a little bit of cuddly bits. Yeah. Okay, so anyone else? I'm just looking at this. So if we feel this fear of being enclosed or claustrophobia or something like that, a message came up, then let's have a real think about that, because in a way you're feeling that you've got no control. Okay, same as fear of flying, fear of dying, fear of flying, same, right? And so this fear of not being able to breathe, claustrophobia, and being shut in is a very common fear. And really it's about the fear of not being in control. All right. So there might be a time where perhaps, and actually the person that's messaged this, I kind of see you in the womb. So it might be that that there was a stuck, you were stuck coming out. I feel that actually. So have a think about that. Maybe you can track back to that, but I feel like I can see that where you're coming into the world and there's a feeling of being stuck or not being able to breathe. So that would be very interesting to see. Yeah, clever body, exactly. So we have this clever body. We chose to have this clever body. We chose to have a body that would tell us, it's just my opinion, but to tell us when we were out of alignment with our mission, but also unconditional love, which is our mission, right? So isn't it clever that we came in soul having a human experience to remember who we are and to remember that our body is our messenger? So what are we seeing going on in the world? What are we seeing? What are we seeing in the news? What are we experiencing? We're experiencing a big wake up. We're experiencing many souls releasing the fear, but we're also experiencing toxicity within the body trying to heal. So this leads me to talk a little bit about what a virus would be. And so we are led to believe that it might have a head and legs and a body. And you guys that are part of my soul family know I speak about this a lot. So I think what's really important is to understand that a virus is actually an incredible part of your body. We have many viruses and bacteria within our body the whole time. In fact, our gut is basically full of bacteria. So if we didn't have it, we wouldn't be alive, right? So a virus is a really, really clever way in your body to encapsulate toxicity and travel it out of the body. Why we have a temperature, a raised temperature, is so that that toxicity can leave the cell. At the time of the full moon and the new moon, you know, our body quite often will heat up. We might notice, you know, we have a bit of a raised temperature, you know, and that's because we're releasing. It's a really good time to do cleansing and so on. In fact, the best time is the 21st of March coming up. It's a really good time to detox and do cleansing. But I'll talk about that nearer the time. But essentially, that's from a naturopathic perspective. But if we're looking at toxicity, we're looking at the moment, and this is just my scientific aspect and, you know, what I know about the body and what I know about cells, is what we're seeing is bodies trying to heal toxicity. So we're having a huge amount of viral activity that is happening. And when we stop ourselves, okay, from taking in the breath of life, then what we're doing is we're creating an environment within our body that, I suppose we could just call it a heated environment, where the body is going, oh, great, really nice environment. Let's clear out all the toxicity that we possibly can. So then what happens is we might put something else in our body. You know, we choose to do that, or we choose not to, and we're told to. And then we put another load on our body. So we then put antigens, et cetera, into our body, and our body goes, oh my God, more stuff for me to clear out. And so then it creates a new viral activity that is found in the cell. And this is why when we used to go to the doctor and we had a virus, the doctor would say, I can't do anything for you because it's not bacteria. Okay, so we seem to be forgetting that when we were younger, we'd go to the doctor, our parents would take us to the doctor and they say, oh, she's just got a virus, just go home and rest. But we seem to be looking at this viral activity as something that is deadly. Okay, and so what's happening is combination, this is my opinion, combination of fear from what's happening, a combination of toxicity, emotional toxicity, fear, drama, trauma, etc., from the past, from now, whenever, that is being healed. We're also looking at identity, people waking up and the body going, I need to raise my vibration. Let's shift some more stuff out of my field so that I can truly live my mission. Okay. And we're also looking at, well, let's put some more toxicity in that is not of a natural process. So we're not, you know, it's not a natural thing for our body. So it goes in the back door rather than in, you know, through our mouth, and then the bouncers at the door say, no, you're not coming in. You know, we don't want you in our body. So the bouncers do that really well. What we do is we put something that is a shock into our system that carries all sorts of stuff, antigens, etc., travel around the blood-brain barrier of the body, and it's massive toxic load. So of course we're putting that into our bodies, and our body's going, oh my God, I've got more to clear out. So we get more of a viral aspect within the cell. Yeah. So it's our job really as souls having a human experience to look after this vehicle the best we can, and to release as much fear and toxicity. And as Lancey was saying earlier, you know, her pure diet, and many of you guys I know work with are transforming your diets and what you're putting into your body, and that's really important. But it's also really important to release the shock and the trauma that we've held from lifetime after lifetime, right? And our parents' generations. And so it's also really good to clear out these old toxicities that perhaps we've held for a very long time. And one of the things that stops us from really doing that is when we stop breathing in oxygen, which is really important. You know, I live by the sea, 2 seconds from the sea on the south coast of the UK, and we live, I mean, we breathe fresh air here. We sometimes have sunshine if we're lucky, and we, you know, we're walking out breathing in the sea air, and there are people walking along the promenade with gloves and a mask on in beautiful sunshine, beautiful fresh air. You couldn't get fresher air than you can here. And this is just showing me that people are in fear, and there's no judgment with it. There is sometimes, but there's no judgment with it really. And people are in fear. So we need to just, for ourselves, just release this fear, release this shock, release the trauma, connect with our guides, really know who we are, and realize that we are this powerful being that can create and change anything, just as your little child did with their magic wand and their cloak of protection, and knowing that they can heal anything. Okay, so we just remind ourselves that we are never on our own. We are always connected to everyone else. I am you, you are me. You are my children are you. If you think of it that way, okay? And then, so the fear that you're releasing from you, you're releasing from my children. And what I'm releasing from me, I'm releasing from you. Okay, so let's just send out our intention of love to everyone in this planet, anyone that can receive it. Just send out, just imagine a ball of light going out to everybody who needs that releasing of fear now. All of you here and anyone listening to the replay, when you hear this, just feel it in your heart and just send it out. Because as you send it out, they will receive it. And let's send it out to everybody that is in deep fear. Maybe it's the government, maybe whoever it is. Let's just send out that light to everybody, because we're just a reflection of it all. And I might not like to think that I'm a reflection of Boris Johnson. I might not like to think that. Yeah, hopefully my hair's a bit nicer. But joking aside, you know, that being is here to show us something about ourselves, right? And he definitely brings up a few bits that I need to heal within me. So whoever your government is, wherever you are, look at how you feel about it, because that's where your work is, right? But go away from this, you know, even if you've just got, thanks, Lisa. I love your puppy, by the way. Even if there's just one thing you take away from this, that to know that you are not on your own. Please, you know, if you haven't joined our newsletter, go on to my website, susankennard.co.uk. Join our soul family, you know, like you'll be part of everything. Come on the Moon event on Friday. I'm actually on Carrie Murphy's show tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow night. Carrie Murphy has a show. It's on the newsletter. And I'll be speaking about abundance and doing healings and clearings about creating more abundance into your life. So feel free to come on, you know, listen to me on that show and call in if you want to. So Betty says, thank you, beautiful, amazing call. Yeah, well, I hope you got lots from it. I hope everybody got lots from it. Please reach out, you know where I am. You can find me. Feel free to share this, it's free. You know, I'm happy for you to share any of this information and go back over and do the process. Yeah, and find me on YouTube and listen to my podcast. And, you know, there's loads of stuff free. Yeah, so you don't have to be on your own with your own healing journey. All right, so Lydia, if you want to privately message me, and anybody else who wants to do any work on themselves, you know where I am. Okay, so much love to you all. Really lovely to have you all here. Great energy, and thank you for helping me to do what I love, which is to help you remember who you are. Much love. Bye for now.